Hello everyone. We've updated the draft blueprint version 1.0 on the Conservation Planning Atlas by adding in information on the marine blueprint and also updating the information from the inland blueprint. So I wanted to take a few minutes to review with you how to access this new information. So please navigate in a web browser using either Chrome or Firefox to the Conservation Planning Atlas, salcc.databasin.org. And once you reach our home page, you'll see that there are some recommended items in the middle of the page. Click on the one that says Draft Blueprint 1.0. That's going to open up the map that contains both the inland and the marine draft blueprints. So you can see there are two layers in this map. You can also read about the development of the blueprint and how to interpret the scores in the description. But let's go ahead and get to the fun stuff by opening this map. As your map is opening, you'll probably see two additional windows open. You'll see your legend, which shows you each of the data layers in this map, and also the legend of how they're displayed. So we can see we're displaying by blueprint category, and we have categories like the purple is our highest priorities, the blue is a high priority, this peach colored is an area of further investigation, and then the light color is an area of low priority. We have the same categories in our marine environment, we just have fewer of them. The other window that should open is your data sets window. That shows you what data sets are loaded in the map, and we're going to need that in this example. If you don't see those windows, go to View and click on Show Data Sets and Show Legend. I also want to quickly show you, if you scroll down from this page, you can still access the description of this map, which explains the development of the blueprint and the how to interpret the final scores. So now to get on to the fun stuff. I wanted to review with you how to use the ID button to learn more about particular areas in the blueprint. So let's start with the marine environment. First, I'm going to zoom into a certain area, like let's head out to the marine environment off of the North Carolina coast. Then I'm going to click my ID button and just click in an area to see if I can find out more information about that area. I see that I've identified two records in the marine blueprint and none in the inland, so that makes sense since I'm in the ocean here. So once I click on that, I can see these two records. The first record gets highlighted in yellow, and I can see the attribute information associated with it. And then I can scroll to the second record and find the attribute information associated with that second record. So here in the first record, I can see that this is a highest priority for our category, which we could tell by it being the purple color. And I can also see the conservation actions associated with this area. This was identified for education and awareness and law and policy conservation actions. For the marine environment, I can also click the comment link, so it says click here, external link, to open up notes that tell us additional information about these areas. And then another thing that we've added is some additional attributes to try to explain why these areas were selected. So for this area, it was selected because it was an important bird area. It also includes snapper habitat area of particular concern. It was also selected because it intersects with the habitat areas of particular concern from the South Atlantic Fisheries Management Council. And additionally, this includes an area around the shelf break, and that's an important area for conservation in the marine environment. So that's another reason that this particular area was selected. And then you could find out even more information in the marine environment, again, by going to that linked document. So that's how to use the Identify button to learn more about the particular areas and why they were selected. We've had another question. I'm going to go back and zoom to the full extent. In our feedback so far, we've had questions saying, this is nice and I really like seeing this displayed by the blueprint category. I can see my highest priorities and my high priorities. But I would like to filter those by a particular conservation action. So let's say that you only want to see areas that are identified for land and water protection. Well, you have the ability to do that. So let's do this example on the inland blueprint. So I'm going to my datasets window, and I'm clicking the little arrow next to my draft inland blueprint 1.0. And I'm going to choose filter, and I'm going to create a filter. And so I want to see a conservation action for land and water protection. And so I want to see any place where the attribute land and water protection equals yes. But I don't remember what to type in there, and I don't have to know what to type in there. I can just click choose values, and then I can click this yes and submit it. So here I'm only going to I'm going to filter this layer by areas that have land and water protection as a yes. So I'm going to submit that. And you can see that that reduces the amount of areas that I see in my inland blueprint. And so just to double check to see if this worked, I'm going to go back to my identify button, and I'm going to click on one of these areas. And I've selected 11 records. And I can see that this is the highest priority. And yes, in fact, it does say yes for land and water protection. And I can find out the other conservation actions that were selected for this area. I can find out more information about what basin this is in. And I can also see what regional or state plans also identified this area as a priority. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. And, well, I guess one more thing. If I'm tired of seeing this filtered information, I know it's filtered because it says so. I can always go in and remove that filter, and then I can go straight back to my original view where I see the entire landscape and the blueprint category for that landscape. So with that, I'm going to wrap up and encourage you to go visit the Conservation Planning Atlas and play around with it, and please give us feedback about how it's working and what we can do to make it more usable for you. Thank you.